In this video, we are going to revise some questions from Mathematics Paper 1, 2016 for internal. Now let's begin. So here we can see that we are dealing with a problem where we have a base raised to a fraction. Now from this question, the numerator of the fraction is known as the power. Then our denominator, we have a root. Then we also have the base. So this is what you have to do. This is the first step that you need to take. You identify this. Now the formula, or the way we can simplify or evaluate this question is, first you begin by writing the square root. Then under the square root, you write the base. From there, the root must be written here. Then our power should be written here. Okay, so now let's put this now into writing. So we begin with the square root. Our base is 8 here. Our root is 3. Then raised to the power 2. So we are solving for the third root of 8, or the cube root of 8. So the cube root of 8, or the cube root of a number, is just the number that we can multiply by itself 3 times to give us the required number. So in our case 8. So here let's try 2 times 2, 4, then times 2, 8. So we can see that we need 3 2's to give us 8. So the cube root of 8 is 2 raised to the power 2. 2 raised to the power 2 is equal to 4. Now let's go to question 2. Okay, so now here we are going to simplify by first expanding each bracket. And the way we should expand is the 3 will multiply with a, second will multiply by 5, negative a by positive a, then second by negative 2. So now we can begin. 3 multiplied by a is 3a, plus 3 times 5 is 15, minus a times a is a squared, negative times negative, that's positive, a times 2 is 2a. So from this we can see that 3a and 2a are like terms, so we can collect these two. Now let's begin with negative a squared plus 3a plus 2a plus 15. So we can now simplify it. Negative a squared. So 3a plus 2a is 5a plus 15. So now the remaining part consists of only the unlike terms, so it cannot be simplified further. Now we can move on to question 3. The diagram below shows a right pyramid with a square base ABCD and apex P. So whenever you have a question with a pyramid, your focus should be the base. In our case, we are dealing with a square base. Here it is telling us that it has 4 sides that are equal. So whenever you are dealing with a regular polygon as a base, the number of sides will determine the number of planes of symmetry. So our answer, we can say this pyramid has 4 planes of symmetry. Okay, Okay, so this is how we can answer the question like this one. Now let's move on to question 4. Use set notation to describe the shaded region in the diagram below. So our area of interest, we are interested in this shaded. So let's look at first the set Q connected with our Q. So here we have P and Q. So we can see that the relationship between P and Q, these two are intersecting. So the first one, P intersecting Q. Let's also look at the relationship between Q and R. So Q and R. So we can also see that these two are intersecting. Now, our area of interest, we are trying to find the sum of these two intersecting area. So whenever you are trying to find or to add these two intersecting area, this should just be written as P intersecting Q in brackets union. So union here, we are trying to include now the Q intersecting R. So this is the answer. Now we can move on to question 5. So we look at first the order of our first matrix. So the first matrix here is a 1 by 3 matrix. Then our second matrix, we have 3 rows and 2 columns. So the number of columns in the first matrix must be equal to the number of rows in the second matrix for multiplication to be carried out. So you can see that here these two are equal, so we can proceed. Now the other two numbers will give us the order of our final answer. So our final answer will be a 2 by 2 matrix. So at least we have a picture on where we are going to. So it's very important you identify these. So now let's begin. So we are going to use the principle of row by column. So -1 will multiply with 5, giving us -5. Then 2 times 4 plus 8. -3 times +3, -9. We are done with this first column. Let's go to the second column. -1 times -2 is +2. 2 times 2, 4. -3 times +1, -3. Now let's see how we can simplify it. -5 plus 8 is 3 minus 9. 2 plus 4 is 6 minus 3. Therefore, our final answer is 3 minus 9 is -6. 6 minus 3 is 3. So this is our final answer. As we can see, it's a 1 by 2 matrix. Okay, now we move on to question 6. Now question 6, we are dealing with vectors. So on the diagram in the answer space, OP is equal to vector P and OQ equals vector Q. Given that OR equals P plus Q, draw a directed line segment OR on the same diagram. So here we are dealing with vectors, and the OR is just the sum of the two given vectors. So what we are going to do is, let's first find the vector P in a column vector. So the column vector can be found by, let's first find the x coordinate. So we always first will move from this origin. So let's look at how many times it moves. So 0.1, 2. So we can see that in x we have 2, then in y let's look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then here we have 5. So we have found the vector for P. Let's find vector for Q. So for Q is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. So we can see that we have 9 in x-axis. Then let's look at in y-axis 1, 2. So here we are going to get negative 2. So now you need to keep in mind, for x, if you are moving toward this arrow, the x value must be positive. Then in the opposite direction, the x value must be negative. Now for y, if you are moving down, it's negative. If you are moving up, it's positive. So that's the pattern. Now after finding this, we are going to add the two vectors, because we are given OR is equal to vector P plus vector Q. So now let's add. The first vector is 2, 5 plus 9, negative 2. So 2 plus 9, 5 minus 2. So our final answer, the x for R is 9 plus 2, that is 11. 5 minus 2, 3. So you can see that our 11 is positive, our 3 is also positive. So let's now draw vector R. Okay, so we are going to move 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Then for y, 3 times. So since it's positive, we'll go up 1, 2, 3. So this is where our point R is located. So now we can draw a line, a straight line segment. So you should use a ruler. So this is our P plus Q. So this is how we can answer a problem like this one. Now let's move on to question 7. So question 7, the first term and second terms of an arithmetic progression are 195 respectively. Find the 10th term. So let's see the pattern. So 100 is our first number, 95 is our second number. So we can see that the first term here is 100, then the second term here is 95. So you can see that the numbers are reducing and we are expecting our common difference to be negative. So let's find this common difference. So the symbol for common difference is small letter a, which can be calculated by second term minus first term. Our second term is 95 minus 100. So we have different signs. We can subtract and get the sign from a bigger number. So 100 minus 95 is 5. Then our 5 will be negative, since 100 has a negative sign. So now after finding the common difference, if we want, we can just find the 10th number or position by just subtracting 5, or we can use the formula Tn is equal to a plus n minus 1 multiplied by common difference. So t Where there is any, we put the number of tens, so in our case 10 terms. Then our A is our first term in our sequence, 100 plus n is 10 minus 1. Our common difference is -5. So let's simplify this. 100 plus 10 minus 1 is 9 times 5. So 100. So positive 9 times -5 is -45. So 100 minus 45 is 55. So that is our answer for the first part. So the number on position 10 is 55. Now let's look at the sum of the first 10 terms. So this is the formula for the sum. Now let's substitute. So n is 10. Now here we have 2 times a, which is 2 times the first term, 100. 2 times 100 is 200, plus, so n is 10 minus 1 is 9, multiplied by -5. So we can now divide 2 into 10 is 5. Then -5 times +9, that is -45. So 200 minus 45 is 155. So now we can multiply. So 155 times 5, so we begin with 5 times 5 is 25. We keep the 2. Then 5 times 5, 25 plus the 2, 27. So 7, we keep the 2. 5 times 1 is 5 plus the 2 that we kept, 7. So our final answer is 775. So that is the sum of our first 10 terms. Now let's proceed to question 8. Question 8 reads, there are 45 green and red marbles in a bag. Given that the probability of choosing a green marble is 2/5, calculate the number of green marbles in the bag. So here we have been given the probability and also the total number. So the question is, out of 45 marbles, how many are green marble? So we can now say number of green marbles So this can be calculated by the probability. In our case, probability is 2/5 times the total 45. So there are so many ways in which you can simplify your answer. So mine, I'll just say 45 is same as 9 times 5. Now I've broken the 45 into numbers by making sure that out of those two numbers there should be this number equal to our denominator. So 5 and 5 can be cancelled, leaving us 2 and 9. So 2 times 9 is 18. So we have 18 marbles which are green. So this is the way you can answer the question. And for us to prove that our answer is okay, we can find the probability. So the probability is, since we have 18 marbles which are green, so 18 over the total 45. So we can simplify. 9 into 18 is 2 over 9 into 45 is 5. So we can see that we are able to get our given probability. Now let's look at the other question. So the other question, the base areas of two containers that are geometrically similar are 80 squared centimeter and 180 squared centimeter respectively. Now if the capacity of the larger container is 54 liters, calculate the capacity of the smaller one. Okay, so let's say this is our smaller, then we have the larger. So the smaller has 80 squared centimeter, then 180 squared centimeter. So we have been given these as base area. So our first step is we need to make these as ratios. So let's divide the greatest common factor for each number. So the number that can go into 80 and 180 is 20. So divide by 20 squared centimeter, so that we can cancel these. 20 into 80 is 4. Then 20 in 180 is 9. So upon reaching here, we can see that we don't have a number that can go into 4 and 9. So let's now proceed by finding the square root for each number, since it was the area given. So we're going to find the square root of 4 and also the square root of 9. So the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 9 is 3. So these are known as the scale factors. Now, upon reaching here, we are going to go back to the question. So the capacity of the larger container is 54 liters. So this 54 will go here. So we have 54, then here we put x, since we are solving for the capacity of the smaller container. Then we can cross multiply. 3 times x is 3x. Then we have 2 multiplied by 5. So we divide by 3 and also 3. So our x is equal to, now 3 into 5 is 1 remainder 2. 3 into 24 is 8. So 3 into 54 is 18 times 2. The capacity of the smaller container is 36 liters. So we are done with the first question. Now let's move on to question 9. Mogadishu and Kinshasa are on longitude 45 east and 15 degrees east respectively. Now if it is 11:30 hours in Mogadishu, what time is it in Kinshasa? So let's see if we can make a picture. So the two longitudes are on the same position because we have been given to east. Now the one with the smallest number should be closer to the center. So this is where our 15 degrees east should be. Then this one we will have 45 degrees east. Now let's go back to Mogadishu. So this one is for Mogadishu. Then this one is for Kinshasa. Now, if you have a question where you have two longitudes located on the same side, we are going, for us to find a common difference, we need to subtract since they are found on the same. So it's 45 degrees minus 15. 45 minus 15 is 30. Now after finding the difference, we need to convert this into hours. So now 1 hour is equal to 15 degrees. So the given or the difference must be divided by 15 in order to convert into 2 hours. So 15 into 30 is 2. So the difference in degrees is 30, while the difference in hours is 2 hours. Now we have been given the time. So the time for Kinshasa is 11:30. So we are finding the time for Mogadishu. So we are finding, also we have been given for Mogadishu. So if it is 11:30 hours in Mogadishu, so we have been given for Mogadishu. And our question is, we are finding for Kinshasa. So if the time given is ahead and you are finding the time behind, the given 2 hours should be subtracted from 11:30. So 11:30 minus 2 hours. So 0 minus 0 is 0, 3 minus 0 is 3, then 11 minus 2, that is 9. So the time at Kinshasa is 9:30. Now we can move on to question 10. The length of a wire is 5.2 centimeters. Correct to 1 decimal place. What is its maximum possible length? So now here the condition is, if you are given a question like this one and you have been given the statement of 1 decimal place, so the absolute error for 1 decimal place is 0.05 centimeters. So you need to keep this in mind. If it was to a whole number, it should have been 0.5. So if you have not been given like 1 decimal place, if you are just given a whole number, it's 0.5. One decimal place 0.05, 2 decimal places 0.005. That's a pattern. So now, since we are looking for maximum, we are going to get our 5.2. We can just put a 0 here, centimeters. We add. So the maximum is found by adding. The minimum can be found by subtracting. So 0.05 centimeters. So 0 plus 5 is 5, 2 plus 0, that is 2, then 5 plus 0, that is 5. So our final answer here is 5.25 centimeters. Now let's move on to question B. The dividend due on 1,000 shares at the end of a financial year is 2,250. Now if the annual dividend rate is 3% of the share, calculate the value of each share. So the formula, we can make the formula. So total dividend, TD, is equal to number of shares then multiply by dividend over 100, since we have been given a percentage multiplied by y. So the y denotes the number of shares, so we can just let y to be the number of shares. So let's see how we can. So total dividend financial is 2,250. Then number of shares is 1,000 times the dividend is 3, the given percentage, over 100 times y. So our work is to solve for y. So we can cancel two zeros. So here we can see that we have 2. 10 times 3 times y, that is 30 over 30. Also here over 30. So y is equal to, so 3 into 225. So 3 into 22 is 7. Remainder 1. 3 into 15, 5. So our final answer is 75. Now let's move on to question 11a. Find the gradient of the straight line whose equation is 3y plus x is equal to 5. Okay, 3y plus x is equal to 5. So the first step here, you need to make y the subject of a formula. So our x will shift to the other side, giving us 3y is equal to 5 minus x. Then from there we can divide everything by 3. So over 3, also here over 3. So we can cancel. We have y is equal to, now the final answer, since we are solving for gradient, after we've made y the subject of formula, where there is y, we can now put gradient. Now the final answer, it is just the coefficient of x, which is -1 over 3. So the number in front of x is our answer. So this is how we can find a question like this. Now question B, the diagram in the space below shows triangle P on the Cartesian plane. Given that triangle P is mapped onto triangle Q by a reflection in the line y is equal to -x, so draw the line. So let's first draw the line. So whenever you are given the mirror line y is equal to -x, this line should pass here. So this is our y is equal to -x. Now for us to draw this diagram, we'll just look at number 1. The distance from here is 1, so our image will be here. Then number 2, we'll move 1, 2, 1, 2. So this is where the other point is. Then for the last point, we'll move 1, 2, 1, 2. So here. So our image, this is now so we have okay, so that is our answer now. Okay, now let's look at the last 2 questions for this lesson. So the question is factorize km. So km minus 6ln plus 3kn minus 2lm. So first we are going to factorize by grouping terms. So we'll say we'll do 3 km and plus 3 kn. So we want to put these in groups where there should be at least one number or a letter that is common. Minus 6 ln minus 2 lm. So the first part, the common factor is k. Then we have m plus 3 n. Then for the other part, it's negative 2 then our L is common, so negative 2L, so we have 3n plus m. Now our final answer, we can now pair, so k minus 2L, then m plus 3n. So this is how we can simplify our, factorize the question. Now let's go back to our question, the B. So question B, in the diagram below, MN is an arc of a circle whose center is. Now given that angle MON is equal to 120, calculate the area of the sector MON. Okay, so now let's look at this one. So the formula for area for the sector is distance is equal to theta over 360 pi r squared. So the theta is our angle. So our angle is 120 over 360 times pi. The given pi according to the question is 22 over 7 times our radius is 21 times another 21. So let's see how we can simplify this question. So let's cancel this 0. So we can see that on top we have 12 over 36 is same as 3 times 12. Then here we have 22 over 7. Then 21 is same as 3 times 7 times another 21. So that is just my way of simplifying a problem. So it depends on how good you are, and also you can check on what works for you. So I can now cancel this and this, cancel this and this, cancel. So from there also we can cancel this one and also this one. So let's see the remaining part. So here we have a 1 times, so we just have 22 times 21. So now let's find the product of 22 and 21. So 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 2, that is 4. So here we have a 0, we can now add 2 plus 0 is 2, 4 plus 2, 6. So our final answer here is 462 centimeters squared. So this is our final answer. Now let's look at question 13a. Find the transpose of matrix B. So the transpose of a matrix, we are going to swap the rows, becomes the columns. So the first row is 4 and negative 1. So this becomes the column 4, negative 1. Then also the second row is 2 and 5. Becomes the second column 2 and 5. So this is how to find the transpose of the matrix. Now find the percentage error of the mass of the bag of sugar that weighs 10.00 kg, correct to 2 decimal places. Now percentage error formula, so we can say percentage error is equal to absolute error divided by true value times 100%. So now, since this time we have been given condition 2 decimal places, so whenever we have 2 decimal places, our absolute error should be 0.0 another 0, then 5 over the true value is 10, because that was the weight, this number here, 10 times 100. So if we multiply this times so we can just say, we can cancel this, so our final answer is 0.05%. Okay, so can not 0.00, so 5, this should be 5%. Okay, so 0.05, that's our final answer, so it's just okay. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.